Group in North Omaha worried about what residents are breathing and taking matters into their own hands.
It's giving you the chance to keep your eye on what exactly is in the air. 6 News' Joe Harris tells us more about this move and how they hope it helps.
A local group is taking it upon itself to help its community be more informed about air quality. The North Omaha Public Power District Ad Hoc Committee, which is made up of individuals and organizations in that part of town, announced it has set up 5 operating air quality monitors around North Omaha.
The monitors that we have are not expensive and they're not perfect, but they surely give us indications.
The move stems from OPPD's decision to continue burning coal at its North Omaha plant to produce electricity. The Power District says federal law requires its natural gas generation balancing plants be approved for grid interconnection service before switching to natural gas. But North Omaha advocates say that coal burning puts toxins in the air, so they're giving sensitive groups a tool to use to protect themselves.
People with asthma, people with respiratory problems, they can check this on a daily, hourly basis and find out what the levels are in their area.
All residents need is an internet connection. Ad hoc committee members say their air monitors aren't as precise as those the Douglas County Health Department has in other parts of town, but that they can at least indicate when the air is potentially harmful.
There's never been a monitor in North Omaha to monitor the air quality. So now with these coming up around the community, it's really giving people a chance to really actually take a step further in looking at their health care and making sure their kids are being safe.
In a statement, the Douglas County Health Department says it has been working with North Omaha to help with citizen monitoring, and in part, at this point, the department is not budgeted for an additional PM 2.5 monitoring site. We will continue to assist the community in these efforts. The ad hoc committee says it's looking to add even more monitors around North Omaha. On your side, Joe Harris, 6 News.
If you want to look at North Omaha's air quality, we have a link to check the monitor's reading on our website, WOWT.com.